Well, what a week we had. Week 3, all first three weeks of stakes this season have been ultra impressive and wow, really uplifting to say the least. Really the only blemish so far this year has been a very uncharacteristic break from Lawmaker yesterday, which would be Friday, I guess. Friday in Philadelphia. So I get to the track in Philadelphia. So I get up in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. I get an Uber. Don't wake the kids and Amy up. I get an Uber to the airport. I get to Philadelphia. I get to the racetrack 2 minutes before I was supposed to sign in. 2 minutes before I was supposed to sign in. I sign in. I go race the horse. Post Brady felt strong coming out of the gate. He wasn't as sharp, which could have meant a lot of things. He didn't climb up on the gate like he usually does. I actually had to chirp to him coming out of the gate, which is odd for him. And then we got to the turn. I crossed exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't really care who I followed, but I wanted to follow somebody. You know, we have the Hamiltonian coming up, and I don't want to put him in a position where he gets beat on the front end. So the 7-horse crossed over in front of us. We ended up winning the race anyway, I think. He crossed over in front of us, put a step in going into the first turn. It's not like him. Put another one in the middle of the turn, and then coming into the turn, he rolled off. So I had Andrew McCarthy come up to me after the race and say that track's terrible, which it was. It's deep, but it's always deep. So I went down, and Andrew was there. We picked up his shoes and just had a tiny little beat of Boreum. So Boreum would be a tiny bit of grab, but it was worn out too. Virtually no grab on the horse. And obviously you don't want to deviate from how well he's racing and change a bunch of things. So I can't really blame Andrew for that, but it was just one of those things. The horse run. He was sound, he was sharp after the race. So we made a decision to qualify him next Saturday. Now my biggest concern was qualifying. What happens if he loses a shoe? You know, he gets jammed up, something stupid happens, he makes a break. You know, in Ontario, you wouldn't be able to race in the Hamiltonian. But in New Jersey, Andrew's 99% sure that if something uncharacteristic or odd or off the wall happens and he made a break, he would still be eligible to race because he had a flat line in 45 days. Now, obviously, we're going to double and triple and quadruple check that. That would be a heartbreaking way to miss the Hamiltonian in 2018 with one of the most sure-footed horses I've ever sat behind. So it looks like he will be able to race if something weird happens. So I'm going to fly to New Jersey next Friday to race White Tiger in the Peter Houghton. We'll talk about how well White Tiger looked the other day and how it led to a confirmation, in fact, that we are going to the Houghton eliminations at least. Eva. Look at Ollie decided to eat my bagel and he got at least 15% of it on his face. So anyway, so yeah, we'll talk about White Tiger. I was obviously going to get a flight out. We got a race. Again, we'll talk about some other impressive horses from the weekend and where they'll be racing next weekend. That will lead me to fly from New Jersey to Columbus to race those horses. And then I have to fly. It all works out well because I have to fly back to Ontario because Timel Houdini, Timel Tulo, and Screaming Hawk will be racing Sunday in Georgian, and I'll be going with them next Sunday. It's not that anybody didn't do a good job with those horses. It just I'd rather go with them when I'm here. And I'm not going to be in Ontario that much this year, so you know, luckily we have some great drivers like Sylvain, Mike Saftig, of course, James, Jody. Louis Philippois was injured the other night, but I don't believe he's going to miss any time. He hasn't got a chance to go with any of our horses yet, but these are all guys that have gone with our horses in the springtime, so we'll obviously be utilizing them as much as we can. My plate's going to be full between Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky is going to be coming up, and then in mid-September, Amy and I fly to New Zealand for 2 weeks, and then the sales start. So between marketing, advertising, talking to all you about what we have for the fall, and if you want to continue to invest, with us, and that's another thing. We have to change the way we talk. We can't say invest anymore. So it just, as we progress and this stable grows, eyes are upon us all the time. We went from Anthony and Amy's little pet project to something neat and cool to something that potentially could attract people in the general public, to attracting a lot of people all over the world, to becoming the fastest growing, fractional ownership stable in, I don't want to say history because I have no idea, but definitely in North America right now, and something that absolutely has built a blueprint for the future of this industry. And we need to make sure that, not just for us, but for the other people coming behind us, we play a significant role in molding the future of what this is, what the stable is. So we're going to have to scrub our site, wall things off, make sure that we use more suitable language, so to speak, which sounds completely foolish to me, but dealing with politicians when I was in politics, there's not a lot of common sense. It's not very common. Common sense isn't very common sometimes in regards to us. You can have the other one, honey, if you want. When it comes to politics, when it comes to the things of this nature, things have to be done in a very political manner. So now we're in a position where we have made change. We are making inroads. We are going to change the way that the rest of the general public and society views horse racing. And some of the points we're going to make are going to be very strong points, but backed up with information. And, one that I made last night, I was talking to the president of the Ohio Harness Horse Association. I had walked over to the grandstand. There were some potential clients that wanted to meet me that he knew. And he said, geez, I'll try and line something up. I said, no, I'll just walk over. So I took my suit off. I walked right over in front of the grandstand, and we sat down and talked for about 25 minutes leading up to a race I was in. And very nice people, probably going to buy into one of our better colts. And the gentleman that had introduced us, the president of OHA, I think, or vice president, I think it was president, he was shocked that somebody would take the time. I'm shocked that somebody in his capacity would be shocked, because that's what we need to do, and I think there's a lot of people out there that would like to do it. The blueprint, as I said, that we put forward can help the industry. We just need to make sure it's safe. We got to make sure that it's easy, as it always has been, and that people can feel comfortable doing it. So I think as we move forward, getting the information out there to the horsemen, to the trainers, and showing them how to utilize it and how to use that and operate it will help fractional ownership, will help the industry absolutely 100% unequivocally moving forward. So we're going to get into our list here in a minute. We had a tremendous week, as I said. When you have a great week, you look at the next week and you're trying to be humble and you're trying to be tempered, but your expectations are still up there, and they were flying high all week. And I got to Ohio, and every horse in Ohio and Pennsylvania raced as good as they could. I think I made a mistake with Final Answer in Pennsylvania. Lawmaker made his own little mistake in Philadelphia, but for the most part, the horses were ultra impressive. And as much as a couple might have, between my driving and a mistake by Lawmaker, there were some horses that far exceeded what I thought they'd do. One in particular we're going to talk about in a little while. So I do have a top 10 list. It was difficult this week because there's no really horses to watch list. We have 6 or 7 that are training back. We have 10 turned out. We have 35 horses that have started in stake races this year. 35. So I'm going to give you the top 10 horses we have right now. I'm going to talk about the other 25 stake horses. Then we're going to talk about the ones that are close. They're almost there. We're going to talk about the ones that are turned out, why we turned them out, what they're doing, when we expect them back. So, be back in just a minute with to talk about how Harry's burn, Kevin's burn, Jason's burn did in Ohio, and how Ricky's burn did, and what they have coming up. Be back in just a minute with all the burns.